So I just want to discuss briefly the energy of the fives in tarot. And the fives are usually representative of conflict, disruptions, a pushing or pulling force, challenges. We're essentially in the middle of our journey from 1, which is the beginning, to the 10, which is the conclusion or the completion. And fives are right in the middle. So the question we want to ask ourselves is, do we go forward or do we go back? Fives can also be seen, however, as adjustments. And maybe there's changes that we also need to make. So if it's a setback, for example, a setback may be necessary, since sometimes we do have to go backwards almost before we can go forward. Like, for example, if you're walking on a forest path and you come to a crossroads, maybe the first crossroad you took essentially led you to a dead end or a difficult point that you couldn't go past. Maybe there was a wall that you couldn't go past or a trail that just ended. So in this example, you'd have to actually go back to the point of the crossroads and then take the other path. And sometimes we need to go back to the 4 in all of these cards to reestablish our foundation, get a sense of stability once more before we can get back to the energy of the 5. So if we look at 5 as changes, we have a broader sense. If we see changes or adjustments, then we can say, okay, it is conflict. There are challenges here. But if we have conflict, essentially, it means that we need to change something, right? If we have conflicts in our communication, it just means that we may need to change the way that we communicate. So that being said, we can look at each of the 4 suits, the cups, the pentacles, the wands, and the swords, and see how the 5s act with each of these cards or each of these elements, essentially. So if we see the 5 of Cups, traditionally this card means disappointment, mourning. There's been a loss here. There's possibly depression. But seeing this card as adjustment, this can actually give us an opportunity for change and growth. So once we change that word, if we see it as conflict, we may get stuck in that energy. If we say, okay, this is a disruption, we may get stuck here. But if we see it as an adjustment, as a change, then it can actually give us an opportunity for change and growth. So we can see the other 2 cups here, for example, and we can say maybe we need to change our way of seeing things. Maybe we can adjust our focus, adjust how we feel about something. Do we see the cup as half empty or half full? Do we take a negative stance and just focus on the 3 that are laying on the ground that have been emptied out? Or do we change our focus and see the 2 that we still have? So maybe we can adjust our focus. Maybe we can adjust how we feel about something. We still have the 2 cups, so not all is lost. And if we can adjust our feeling towards the 2 cups, if we can integrate that energy of the 2 cups, then we can move on to the 6s, essentially, the 6 of Cups. And if we can't move forward, then we may need to move back to the 4 of Cups. 4 of Cups being maybe we need to contemplate something. Maybe we need to meditate on something or think about something. Or maybe we just stay with the energy of the 5 of Cups until we are ready to move past that point and move on to the 6 of Cups. Looking at the 5 of Pentacles, this card can indicate traditionally a loss of finances, financial or health issues. It shows 2 individuals out in the cold with few clothes. And it's obvious one person is cold because they're kind of hunched over. They're kind of trying to keep their face out of the wind. And the other we see is in physical distress. They are walking with canes. They're having health issues indicated by the cast on the leg. So they're definitely in a challenging and disruptive period of their life. Again, if we see the 5 as adjustments or change, we can say, wait, if they just simply look at the church, they look at the church in front of them, They can see that the lights are on, it looks warm inside. Then they can make changes to their financial and health situation by seeking help. Help in this case would be for them to look towards the church, go inside the church, get warm, maybe get something to eat, get out of the cold, maybe get some new clothes, maybe do something to improve their situation, but they would need to seek help to do it. So this would be the adjustment that they need to make. They need to adjust their physical situation by taking a step out of the cold and into the warmth, and by seeking help. In moving on to the energy of the sixth, then the sixth of coins, we know six of coins, for example, is maybe they're asking for a loan. Maybe they're asking for some kind of help from the church or from somebody that they know to improve the situation or the energy of the Five of Pentacles. So the adjustment would be is maybe they need to swallow their pride a bit and reach out for help. Or they stay in that challenging five energy. Or maybe they can go back to the Four of Pentacle energy, scrimping and saving to reestablish themselves financially, for example. It was the energy of the Four of Pentacles that they were unable to handle. Maybe they didn't save enough, and this is what put them into this situation. So we can say that adjustments can be made here, which give us an opportunity to move forward. Changes can be made which give an opportunity, a possibility to move forward. Moving on to the Five of Wands, we can say conflict is seen here. Conflict in general, as five individuals fight to try and build a structure. Sometimes this card indicates issues at work, issues of teamwork, for example. But if we see it as adjustments, here we might say that some small adjustments can be made as to how everyone is holding their wand. How are they holding their position in respect to each other? How can each individual change their own position to improve the way the wands are stacked together? This would be an adjustment. This would be a change. So this five could be having us look at the way we grow, the way that we see ourselves with respect to the external world. And there's a saying that says we cannot change others, we can only change ourselves and change how we react to our external environment. So essentially here, adjustments can say, how can we adjust the way we work with others? And then if we move on to the Five of Swords, now here, I always see this card as having issues with communication, pride, or ego. I see it as ego because I see the fire on top of this person's head, which kind of gives a sense of he's maybe a little bit pompous or has kind of an attitude that thinks maybe he's better than others. And he's kind of like looking at the two that are kind of sulking away with a kind of smirk on his face, like he won fair and square and they lost. And he's kind of taking this to his head. And we don't have the info, maybe he was playing the game, playing by the rules. Maybe he wasn't. We don't have that kind of info. But in any case, he's gloating and the others may be offended. He's taken all the swords and left the others with nothing but their sulking behavior. So his pride is essentially boosted and it's gone to his head. So we can say the five is challenge and conflict in the way we communicate. And we can make an adjustment here if we say, okay, what could be adjusted? How can we view this five as an adjustment? Because essentially, he's coming from a point of vanity, and people don't like to be around others that have a pompous kind of attitude. So seeing the five as an adjustment, we can say what changes in communication need to happen. This being the sword energy, this is mental energy, this is communication. What changes in communication should happen here? How could he have taken a step down from his high horse? How could he have been more humble in this situation? maybe the rules weren't made clear at the beginning of the game. And maybe he had certain opinions or beliefs about the game. And we have to remember that opinions and beliefs are not based in facts or in science. They're just simply what we think. And, both opinions and beliefs are all like that. They're based in what we think, but it's not based on fact. So before we can make adjustments to the way we communicate our beliefs and opinions to others, we have to know that what we think is not the final word, right? So making adjustments here, how can we make adjustments in the communication? How can we make adjustments or present our beliefs and opinions to others where we can be a little bit more humble with our dealings with others, so not to offend so easily. So that being said, let me know your thoughts on the fives. And to support this channel, please like and subscribe. Or if you're interested in a reading, you can also contact me for a reading, ALKEMYSTICA.com.